For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for giving us 30 minutes of your time today. Well, I'm assuming you are. Let's just start that right there, okay? I'm assuming you're going to give us a shot, right? It's only 30 minutes. Really, come on now. we're what, 40 seconds into the show and I'm already alien. I'm telling you to just get lost then. Just don't even, just go. Don't even bother. We're off to a good start, aren't we? But here's the thing, is that we have a relationship now. We are now official. Because you've taken the leap and you've decided to commit to pressing the play button or download or however you did. All right, that's there. We'll talk about relationships today. I tried to spin that or segue it, but whatever. Off to a great start, aren't we? Now, here's the thing. Relationships over the years have changed significantly, and that could be because of social media. That could be because of dating shows that make relationships look, they look like the People's Choice Awards, right? Where it's not just that you're getting to know one person. It's like I've got 15 and now I've got to narrow down to 8 and then 4 and then 2 and then what, I would never want to. I think if my marriage ended and we were done or something, I found myself single, I don't know that I would have no interest and no patience to go through the dating world or life or whatever word you want to use, the dating scene, I guess. I would have no interest in doing that. If it's an app thing, like you're chatting with 5, 6, 7 other people or 2 other people, and then you're treating it like it's one of those dating shows, right? Where it's like, well, this person stands, okay, well, he's got the better body. Okay, well, she's got the better job, she's got money, and then, okay, well, he's, so it's kind of like, you're choosing between people, and I don't want to be. I'm not competing. I'll never compete with somebody. If somebody comes along and, my husband is, oh, well, I just have a better connection with this person. Well, first of all, you shouldn't have been allowing yourself to kind of get to that place. I would say if you're even just as soon as you're starting to feel, a little tingle or something, cut it off, I would say. Maybe not in the way that you're thinking, but I would say you're cutting that fucking thing off is what you're doing. You remove yourself from that situation then, right? It's not, I don't want to be in that, you could say, well, that's selfish of you to say that, JB, because maybe he would be happier with that person or whatever it is. Well, okay, that may well be. But at the same time, it's a slap in the face because you had the wandering eye. Or cock in that situation, perhaps. Maybe that's me being territorial. But I just think that relationships are not as valued, and it's funny, too, when you see the people on the reality shows, because they always go and say that they're, either it's their parents or their grandparents were an inspiration, that they kind of, I long for that, I see their love and whatever. Well, here's the thing, is that they were not courting or, dating or whatever, getting to know each other in this world where there's the technology, right? There's the TV shows, there's the apps, there's the whatever. It was one-on-one, right? They met in high school or whatever, or, whatever it might be at their job or something like that. And it wasn't that, okay. And now, there was back in the day, you might be dating a few people, right? That was very common then. But certainly not to, like, the competition. Like, it wasn't a matter of you narrowing it down. It was just kind of like, all right, well, I'm young and I'm, whatever. Whereas now it's a choice between A, B, C, D, and however many others are out there. So today, I want to tell you a story about one of our employees, and we own a coffee company, and it's 7 guys in West Hollywood, and in our teams, especially here in our broadcast team, we've worked together for 20 years. So I've been around. Bonnie Winters, our executive producer, I've mentioned her all the time. I've been around longer than her grandson has. She's got 2 kids now, but Dylan is I think he's 17 now, if I'm not mistaken. So my point is that we have been together a very long time. So when it comes to knowing about each other's relationships or just other things in life, that just happens because we are so close and we've known each other for a very long time. And that's also just the nature of our team, is that we genuinely like each other and we communicate outside of work. And I went to Bonnie and her husband Mike's cottage with my assistant Lisa the other weekend. So we just we get together. We like each other. So with our coffee guys in West Hollywood, they're guys in their, I don't know how, the youngest is probably late 20s, I would think. There's nobody that's nobody's in their 40s. So they're all, I would say late 20s to like mid 30s. They're all kind of the same age. And it's fascinating because in Buff Loft, where they live in our building, so it's not like Friends or Three's Company. We have a large, it was an office space, and then we converted it when Corona hit and we moved our radio broadcast operations to Canada. We had offices and everything in this building. We converted those offices into bedrooms when we started our coffee company, and so the guys live in the building. It's an office converted into living space, right? So these guys live together, and we also wanted to be very particular about who we hired for the company 4 years ago, just because they were going to be, like, part of the job is you can live at your own place if you already have one, that's fine, but we have this, we have a very, very nice, really mansion, I guess you'd call it, in West Hollywood. So do you want to live there as part of the job? And if you do, you're not going to be paid as much because you also won't be paying rent. So it's kind of that balance of you cannot live here and make more money or get paid more money, or you can live free of charge in our building but not be paid as much, right? And so when you look at rent in West Hollywood and Los Angeles, the guys were kind of like, well, you know what? And we've got a pool in the backyard, we've got all this other crap. Yeah, we're going to take it. So one of the guys, they're already wrapped. I should have gone to a break a couple minutes ago, but let me just keep going here. So one of the guys is in a relationship. Now, I don't, with that group, with our Canadian broadcast team, Bonnie and them I was talking about, yes, we know each other. I don't really pry into relationships, but if something comes up, we have a discussion. So the guys, I don't care about their relationships. They, do what they want. They're not, by the way, they're not allowed to have company in our home. I know some of the trash they hang out with, and I don't want that in my place. But so one of the guys is newly in a relationship, and so of course he's excited, and that's great for him. But I kind of find myself being not parental, but sort of looking at it from the sidelines, going, okay. So, I mean, by the way, that sound effect was kind of like me cringing and wincing. That's what I tried, because you can't see me. I was trying to sort of give you a sound effect as to what I was meaning. So I will explain my parental role-ish feeling in the next segment right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
JB here on this Scribble. You might think that it's a little bit weird to be, the boss or the owner of a company and know about your employees' personal lives, social lives, right? But again, as I was saying in the last segment, I mean, these guys live under our roof, and so my husband and I live in the building too. Like, we've got a house in Canada, and then we've got our property in West Hollywood. And so the guys kind of live on one side of the building, and then we have our own kind of suite or house or whatever across the way. We're not talking like it's just a little 2-story house. It's essentially like a building. So, we walk through, their living quarters. Our dogs, when they go outside or to the backyard or whatever, go barreling through. So we cross paths with them when we're home. Though we can go a day or two really without seeing them if we choose to kind of just not go through the area. But, we all have meetings with them all the time, right? We'll do lunch meetings. We'll, on the weekend, if we're all kind of around, well, then whatever. But no, we don't live with our staff. They live in our building, but it's not like Three's Company or Friends where they're just like knocking on our bedroom door. They're not even close to it. It's far away. They've said to me before, we don't even know if you guys are here half the time. So, one of the guys shared with the team that, and again, it's they're 7 kind of like frat boy type guys, and they talk a lot and they joke a lot and they whatever, share what they want to share. That's on them. And so at I think it was brunch the other weekend, somebody had referenced one of the guys' new relationships and said. And so I didn't know the details because, again, they dine and they eat together, way more. I might have one meal with them every 2 weeks. I'm not that close with that staff, and I just don't want to be. We're just also in very different worlds. That's what I'm, in my early to mid 40s, let these, silly guys do their thing, and So he's in a relationship, and they obviously, all of the guys kind of see my relationship, that we don't have drama, we don't fight, we don't argue, and because we also don't do it in front of them, they kind of feel that it's a little bit weird. And I said, no, there's truly no drama. I'm a ball buster, so if there's a problem, we're addressing it right now, and we're dealing with it. We're resolving it, and we're moving on. We are not dragging it out. We're not holding a grudge. We're not, because that's just going to, eat away at your relationship, and that's really not. And we had an instance early on, I guess it would be 8 or 9 years ago now, where he did something, I put my foot down, and that was enough to kind of, this is how things are going to work. He betrayed me. I've talked about it on the show. I don't have time to get into it. So it's not like he didn't cheat, if that's what you're thinking. He did not cheat. So anyway, but that was kind of a defining moment in our relationship early on, where it was like, you cross the line and you're not going to do that to me again. And if you do, it's, there's no chances. It's done. So the guys were kind of teasing him at I think it was brunch. I'm just going to say it was brunch. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. But we were having a meal together. We were out at a restaurant there. And so his phone is blowing up. Now, the rule that we have with our team is that if it's a group lunch where we are, like I said, I will have a meal with them, but it's going to be work related. I'm not just, casually, I don't sit and watch TV with them at night. No, I don't. So the rule is that there are no phones on the table. You're not, pulling out your phone you're not looking at it under the table. If we're talking about work stuff, like, especially if I'm paying for your fucking lunch, you're going to be paying attention to what I'm saying. That's the line in the sand, folks. Whoever's paying for the meal, it's their rules. They call the shots. So we have the rule that there's the one phone, which is the work phone, like the coffee company phone, because they have one that they pass. Each one is responsible for, keeping track of this phone every day. So if it's your day with the phone, that's on the table because that is work related, and it's custom. The only things that we have on it are, the work apps and email and whatever. So there's not your social media on it. There's not your personal texting. That's work stuff. So that's okay to be on the table, right? Makes sense. So we're having the meal, we're talking, whatever, and I guess his phone is like going wild in his pocket with, vibrating, right? Messages or calls, whatever it was. He can feel it. And I guess whoever was sitting beside him either felt it as well, but could hear it, right? Because it makes a sound. And so it kept happening and happening and happening. And so finally, it was said to him, like, what's going on with your phone? So, of course, he, pulls it out under the table because maybe there was an emergency, with his family or something. And I'm not completely heartless. By the way, let me just stop right there. I'm not saying, right? Like, if you know that, your parent is sick or something like that, oh, right, all right, okay. But, anyway. So, apparently, the person with whom he's in the relationship was blowing up his phone during a team lunch. All right, well, now, most people do have their phone out at work or look at their phone at work or whatever it is. But, and it's not like we're spending 3 hours in the goddamn restaurant. I mean, we're there for, an hour and a half, and you can step away from your phone for that time, right? And so this happened, like I said, a while back. And so then, fast forward now, I had a conversation with him. So I had got together with him. We also manage their modeling careers. My husband is a fitness model, and I'm obviously a business person. So we had a meeting with him because he's got a modeling shoot coming up. So the three of us ended up getting together and just kind of sitting down. And same thing, that you could tell that he was distracted because his phone was in his pocket or whatever, which again is actually kind of against the rules. Like it's not even... When we have meetings in like a meeting room, we were just sitting in the backyard, so it wasn't. But when we have a meeting, around the table and everybody's kind of sitting there, your phone isn't even in the room. Like that's the actual rule. Now, because we were in a restaurant that other time or whatever, well then, but still. Anyway, so we're sitting outside, we're talking, and you could tell that he was distracted and whatever. And so I said, like, what's happening? I didn't give him shit, but I kind of was like, pay attention to what's going on here. So then he was like, it's the person. And so I kind of thought, all right, well, since you're going there, right, you're the one bringing it up, then it's fair game to talk about it, right? You could have just brushed it off and said, oh, it's nothing, or, oh, don't worry. Oh, sorry, I'll just turn it off. It's not a big deal. He mentions it. He went there. So we're having the conversation. He's talking about the relationship and saying, what he likes and what he doesn't like. And I said, here's the thing, though. It's one thing to send one text or make one phone call. But if it's continuously happening, especially if the person knows that you're at work right now, like this is my working hours, this is my, I'm on the clock, that it's, I don't remember let's say it's 2 p.m. Most people who either work in an office or whatever, most people at 2 o'clock are working. If like I would know, my mom was a teacher, so I'm going to assume that at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, she's teaching, right? That's kind of how things go, right? So I kind of just said to him, like, yeah, do what you want. I am not, if you're happy and that's, whatever. But here's the thing. I said, if my husband's name is Charles, I said, if Charles is blowing up my phone when I'm either on the radio or if he knows that I'm out doing my job, which is what has paid for 2 mansions in 2 countries, then he's going to get a call from me when I am available saying, what the fuck is your problem? He's going to get the nastiest phone. I might even stop the fucking radio show just to call him, or I'll call him on the air. I will call him on the air and say, what in the goddamn hell do you want? So I would do that. I'd have to watch my language depending on what station we're on or whatever, if how we're broadcasting. But it would not fly with me. It would just not fly with me. So this is kind of what makes me wonder then, is it insecurity in the relationship? Is it the person just really likes him and, just, oh, I found something funny, I'm just going to send you. What was the nature of the messages, right? Because that also is going to tell us something. Hello, how are you? How's your day? Are you there? Why aren't you responding? What happened? Are you mad at me? Did I do something? Right? Because if it's stuff like that, cut yourself loose, buddy. Cut yourself loose. Red alert, red alert. But at the same time, now because I am one of those texters that will just send a bunch of funny, stupid things because I know that you're going to laugh about it. So yes, there are times when I will purposely annoy somebody because that's just how I am. So if that's the case, then that's different. But again, I'm not expecting that I'm going to be interrupting you at work, in meetings or whatever. You'll get to them when you get to them, right? You're going to see, oh, it's Jeremy again or whatever. I'll look at it when I look at it. So, I said that to him kind of like, well, is it always like that? Is it, is it just a one-time thing? Does, does it seem controlling? Is it intrusive? Tell me your thoughts on this. And he said, well, it kind of makes you feel nice because the person's thinking about you. But at the same time, yeah, maybe it could be just one longer message instead of 4 or 5 short ones that are in rapid succession. And I said, all right, well, again, I don't know. By the way, I've never met the partner. I don't know. I haven't met them. So I just said, well, okay, that's something to think about. And it was interesting because we kind of then started talking about relationships. And so he was asking me about our relationship and kind of how things go. And I said, well, I was that sort of needy person early on in the relationship. So, you have to remember that my husband is from Brazil originally, and he was a listener of our radio shows back in the day. And so that's how we quote unquote met. And so he was emailing our radio show, and then I would go back and forth. And eventually, so we weren't living in even the same continent when this all kind of started. And so, yeah, you kind of do have a bit of an insecurity because, I don't know what's happening in his life in Brazil. I don't know. Is he lying to me? Or is he doing that people's choice thing where he's got, 5 other people on the go? So I did kind of need that reassurance of, and with the time zones, he was waking up earlier in the day than I was because he was, I don't even remember, 4 hours. Well, if I was in California, he was 5 or 6 hours ahead of us anyway. So there was something that was comfortable to me that I would wake up and have a text from him saying good morning or whatever. That just always kind of was nice and was like, oh, okay, he's thinking about me. That's fine. And so that though put an expectation for me on him that he's going to do that. So there were some days where he just didn't send that to me. I was livid and it would start a fight because I fell into that trap of, why didn't you say good morning? Oh, you weren't thinking about me this morning? I was that girl again, because I was like that in my 20s. And so I had to dial it back because what it was doing was it's saying to him, you're clingy, you're needy. That's too dramatic for me. I don't like that. So, you kind of have to sit there and go, how is the other person reacting to what I'm doing to them, right? If I'm blowing up his phone, I'm picking a fight with him just because he's like, we're not even in a fucking relationship. We just are chatting and getting to know each other. I don't have any obligation. And I didn't see it that way. For me, it was completely different. So it prompted us to have a relationship chat. Like, is this a relationship? Where are we? What's happening between us? And so that was going back to now my employee. I said that, how long has it been? Is it, you're a couple months into this now, I guess? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, does it feel overwhelming, right? Are those expectations put on you, right? Are you expected to text first thing in the morning? Are you expected to text good night? Are you expected to check in on your lunch break? Are you expected to, or do you just do it because you want to, right? Because those are two different things. And sometimes you do it because it makes the person feel good, right? So when I was able to communicate that and express that to my husband, when I put my claws away, right? When I dialed it back a little bit and I said, here's the thing. I love when I wake up, and for years I have not slept with a phone in my bedroom. So my phone is charging downstairs. My bedroom is upstairs. So that was something that I would look forward to in the morning, right? I'm going to come up, and he had a special color. His light was green blinking on my phone because the Brazil color flag is green. And so I would see the phone in the dark, living room where it was charging. When I would see the green light blinking, it just made my day. It was just like, oh, he's thinking, yeah, again, I was that fucking teenage girl. I was. And so when I said that to him, when I actually explained it to him, and I said, when I wake up and I'm about to get ready for work or whatever, you don't know how much of a smile I get when I see, right? Because when you tell your partner things that you like or what you don't like, then that's open communication, and that's what makes the relationship work. And so knowing that, then I would get it. But if we were having an issue, Well, he would not send one again now to piss me off because he knows that it's going to make me feel shit, right? So, so again, you kind of look at that and go, what kind of games do I want to play in my relationship? Like maybe I started it, but then he's kind of playing into it, or maybe he's doing this to prove a point and say, hey, look, you're being fucking ridiculous. Doesn't mean that I'm not thinking about you. I just didn't, think to text you or something. So with our employee, I just kind of said, like, does it seem like it's, a lot of texting? I said, do you text more or do you speak? And when I because people always refer to texting as talking, right? When you're on a dating app, oh, well, I'm talking to all these people. No, if you're just writing, that is you're texting, you're writing. Talking is what I'm doing right now, right? That's speaking. Talking and speaking is the same thing. And so many people, as he said, are texting more than they're actually talking. And I said, I was about to say his name. I'm not going to call him out, but let's call him Bob. I said, okay, Bob, here's the thing. If you're not having phone conversations, or when you're together, if you're not speaking this much, but for some reason the communication is all by texting, then I don't know that that's really the relationship that you are going to be fulfilled with, because you're a talker, you're a social guy, you're the life of the party, you're Mr. Social Butterfly as far as I know. And so I can't see you settling or tolerating just endless texting with somebody. And I don't know if that's an age thing. I just don't know what it is. I remember back in the day, so now let's go back to like the gay.com years and the, what else would it have been? Well, AOL chat rooms, I guess that's much earlier. But I'm just trying to think of, like I said, when I was in my early 20s and how desperately single I was and insecure and needy and clingy and whatever. I mean, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I was always the person who wanted to move things to a phone call. That was always my big thing, was I'm bored of this texting thing. I have no interest in messaging back and forth, or again with AOL, you would email back. And so you'd have to dial the dial-up squealing, you've got mail, and then go, oh my God, did he email me? Oh, he didn't. So I was always the person who was like, give me your phone number. Let's just have a call. Like, I'm not doing this. And when somebody would say to me, oh, I don't really like talking. Oh, I'm not really. Well, then we're clearly not going to be a good match, because I'm a talker and we're going to have conversations. That's how a relationship is going to work. So if you can't, like, I never viewed having a phone call as something that was this huge leap, especially when I know that people would be getting together and fucking without even knowing the person's name. I'm sitting here going, I'm sorry, that's a bigger leap than giving me your phone number and speaking to me. I get if it's a one and done hookup, maybe you don't want me to have your phone number because I could be that clingy, crazy person. But if we're on the same page of, hey, we're getting to know each other, we're seeing where this goes, well, yeah, I mean, you can text me, so I already have your phone number, right? I mean, that's a done deal. We're already texting, but you don't want to speak to me? That doesn't fly with me. And so that's what he would say. He's like, no, we probably have, however many hundreds of text messages back and forth all day. And I just said, that seems very, teenage. That seems very, very juvenile. Doesn't seem very adult, right? It doesn't seem very, kind of. And so, and this, again, I'm not telling him what to do. I'm not trying to sway him. I'm just saying, from what I know of you, because I'll get to why it went deeper in a second. But like, just from how I know you, I can sort of tell that you're not kind of thrilled with like the texting thing. You kind of want to just let me work, let me do my work shift, and then whatever time I'm done, we can go to dinner, we can hang out in the evening, we do whatever, and that's that. I don't need to be texting you throughout the day because we're going to be seeing each other, at 6:30, 7, whatever the hell time, right? So it's kind of like, let me have my work day. Let me do my shift. Let me focus on, what's giving me the money to help, buy you dinner and flowers if you like flowers. I don't know. So because it went deeper than that, the reason that it went deeper was because he had said, I would kind of like you to meet and sort of give me your read and kind of your assessment. And I said, here's the thing. I'm not opposed to meeting people because I'm obviously a social person. I'm a chatty person. I'm a talker, whatever. I'm very good at getting people to talk, right? And pulling out conversations and stories from them and putting them on the spot. Well, so why don't you tell me about such? I do that all the time. That's what my job was on the radio for 15 years. But I said, here's what's going to happen though is I'm not going to tell you after, right? This isn't, and again, when you flip back into those dating shows, right? That's always what happens is the people, so let's say it's The Bachelor. So you bring in these bachelorettes, right? The 3 women, 4, however many it is. They're all meeting the family, right? And then the family goes and pulls him aside after and was like, well, I didn't really like her, but she's the better one. Okay, number 3 was good, but I think number 4 is, she was just not right. But number 2 is a little bit standoffish. Number 1 was, I'm not going to do that. I can get together with you guys for lunch or something or whatever it is, but you're not going to look to me after and get like a full readout, right? I'm not giving you the assessment of didn't like, no, was to this, was not enough that, was that. I'm not doing that because I'm not, it's your life. It's your life, it's your relationship, it's your time, it's your heart, it's your brain, it's your penis, it's your whatever. I'm not getting involved. I'm steering clear of all that. I don't want to be, I'm not, again, I'm close with most of my staff, but I'm not, interfering and kind of getting in the way of that. And so I just said, I haven't had to navigate a relationship in this world of apps and all that other kind of stuff. I don't even know how they met. I should have, I know a lot about the since then, but I don't know how they actually met. So I'm fascinated with how, he's, so yeah, he is in his early 30s. He's about 10, yeah, I don't know exactly how old he is, but yeah, he's about 10 years younger than me. So it's kind of interesting, right? Because I got into my relationship at about that age. But again, it was a totally different platform. I was, like I said, I was on the radio and this was just a guy who was listening and emailing in. This was not me, searching, apps or dating profiles or whatever it was and messaging 7 people all at the same time. That I've never been in that situation. I haven't done it. So I don't know. But so it was kind of interesting to just kind of, the way he was describing it almost sounded like he was being controlled because there was this expectation of text. And, and some people will put up with it. But like I said, early on in my life, I had to, I had the freak out. I had to take that couple steps back and go, okay, well, here I am flipping back into 20-year-old me who is losing his shit because this person doesn't know how much that morning text means to me, and now I'm giving him shit for him not doing something that he doesn't know that at the time, I'll say that I needed it just because it kind of, it made my days hard. But I've realized that I'm the one who makes, you can only make yourself happy. You don't rely on other people to do that for you. So anyway, a couple questions come out of that. We've got to wrap. We're already late. We're out of time already. But what do you think about that? First of all, what do you think about giving friends advice in their relationships? If they come to you, like I've always been the type of person who will ask you questions, right? I'm not going to draw the conclusion for you, but I will put a whole bunch of different ideas out there. I'll ask you things. Well, so what about this then? All right, well, what if this happened? Like, what if you did this? What if he said this? Okay, well, when was the last time that you, whatever, you see what I'm getting at. I make you think about it. I put it all out there. You formulate the thoughts, you take it away and then chew it over, after our conversation. But I'm not saying to you this. And I've said this before on the show. When somebody says that I should do something, as soon as I hear should, I tune out right away. You're not telling me what to do. I've already checked out when you use that word. And maybe that was just something because of my mom who would always say, you should. No, don't tell me what to do. Don't fucking tell me what to do. So anyway, do you give advice to friends on relationships? What would you do? Your friend comes to you. Now it depends, I guess, also on the closeness of your friendship, right? How long have you been friends? What do you, what have you shared in the past? How well do you know each other? Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. And secondly, how do you address that? If it's somebody who's just either, too clingy, but otherwise you like them. I think it's just a simple conversation of, hey, look, I'm at work right now. Or even just flipping off your phone, not giving it the finger. I mean, turning it off, or flipping it over. I mean, flipping it on its face so that you can't see the screen, right? And you draw that line. You go and say, I'm just going to throw it in the drawer, my desk drawer, and I'm not going to look at it, because you really, as an employer, I've got to say, that's probably the more responsible thing. I want you focusing on your job if I'm paying you right now. Ideally, yeah, your phone's not going to be your focus of your attention. And that's also a good excuse, though. Maybe I'll say that to him. Look, my boss is like busting my balls because I'm constantly looking at my phone because you keep texting me. So back the fuck off. I should tell him to try that. That would be great, eh? You know what? Just say, fuck off. Oh my God. I should send it from my phone, right? Because they don't know that number, and I'd be like, can you just fucking leave him alone? This is his boss, okay? It's not an affair. He's not cheating. It just fuck off. Oh, I want to call him in here right now. Yeah. Anyway, so I always find it funny when people sort of, include, like, push their way into relationships. And so, like I said, we've known, like, even my assistant Lisa, she obviously knows a lot of details about Charles and me because she mostly assists him. I'm capable of taking care of my own work schedule and stuff like that. But, she knows things about the relationship. But that was something that I said to her when we were out at Bonnie's cottage the other week, like I just talked about, where I said, she's married. I don't know anything about her sex life. I've never asked. We've never, even joked. And she doesn't know, about mine. We're very good friends. Like, we know, tons and tons and tons of stuff. And again, especially if you're somebody's personal assistant and you've worked for them, for 8 years, yes, you're going to know a lot of things. But never have I ever mentioned a comment about, his dick or last night. Never. I've never done that with anybody. Truthfully, because I don't care about their sex life. I don't care how often Lisa's getting laid, with her husband that she's been married to for 20 years. Like, I don't fucking care. Like, I don't, get a life. I mean, geez. So how close, how much do you share with, first of all, friends, and then also with coworkers too, right? Because as I said, there's sort of this line of, that's an employee, and so if you want to approach me with it, but I'm not coming in and digging in your relationship. That's not something that because I don't care. I really don't. But here's the thing, though, is that if it's going to be affecting you, obviously I do care that, he's getting pissed off or he's feeling emotionally manipulated or whatever it is to respond or to, then, that is a problem. Especially if it's during working hours, I do have an issue with that. So anyway, whatever, just send me an email about your thoughts on this whole thing. live@jbonair.com. live@jbonair.com. We are so late on this show. We're supposed to have one more break. So let me just, speaking of Bonnie Winters, our executive producer, Bonnie, tell me, what do you want me to do? Because we have one, okay. So we're going to run long. Well, we have already. Take a break, come back and wrap up. All right. You've got a few more minutes with me on the Scribble right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
JB here on The Scribble. Well, speaking of relationships all show, during the break, I had a special guest join me in the studio right beside me. My dog Bruno is here. You can't see him. He's a little golden retriever. Well, he's not little. Medium-sized golden retriever. And he decided to come in and say hello because I think what happens is the dogs they've got a really good sense of timing, by the way. I've got to tell you that when I'm in here doing the show, they generally know that it's a certain amount of time. And so he's now, he just sort of made his way in here and go, okay, let's wrap this up. You're done now. It's time to pay attention to us. Let's move this along. So anyway, Bruno is saying hello right now. So again, send me an email. Tell me your thoughts about just this, this whole relationship thing. How many texts is too many in a day? That's also a good question. Whether you're in a new relationship or it's been a relationship for a long time, how many times a day is it okay to text your partner? And obviously, I guess it's different if you live with each other or, if you don't. But, do you, I know there's some people who I know that text their partner, all day, even when they're at work. And they live together. They're married. They share a house or whatever it is. And I find that to be, I don't know. Now, it also, my situation is different because I'm business partners with my husband. So not only do we live together, but, we're pretty much, together all day because, we work together. But having said that, he goes to the gym for 2 hours when I'm in the bathtub for, an hour and a half or whatever. And I'm not texting him while he's at the gym. It's like, he's going to be home and, I'll see him whenever. We communicate very well, but certainly it's not to the point where it's, impacting the day. So how many texts in a day is too many? What would make you go and say, back off? That's enough. Right? Is it? And how much time do you give your partner before you go and say, hello, are you there? Are you mad at me? What are you doing? I couldn't handle that. Even though I was totally that girl. I couldn't handle that now. I just look at myself and go, I can't believe that I was like that. I pushed so many guys away when I was in my 20s because I was that girl. I was that fucking needy I almost want to just punch myself in the head at how I was. Yeah, it was pretty bad. So, live, Live, at jbonair.com. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Thank you so much for tuning in. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye for now.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some